This conference will now be recorded.
Have not turned on your screen, this is no problem, but the session will be recorded, as we'll be sending the link to you afterwards, and it will be on our website. So in the meantime, we get some response, and we see that option 2, 1 to 5 years, is mentioned 11 times. So the majority is 1 to 5 years. A few people are over 5 years, and there's 5 people less than 1 year. Okay, we go to the next question, please. And the next question is, why did you come to the Netherlands? Was it for a job, option 1, to study, option 2, for love, option 3, or was there another reason, option 4? I think option 1, for a job. Most people have come to the Netherlands for a job. We can see that, that's quite clear. And then we go to our third question, which is, do you currently live in Almere? Option 1 is yes, option 2 is no, and option 3 is no, but I want to find a house here. And as we see, most people currently live in Almere, option 1. Thank you for this information. This makes it that we get to know you a little bit better. And by this, we like to end our poll and go to the first speaker on our program. And that is our Alderman of Economic Affairs, Ms. Maaike Veningen. Maaike, the floor is yours for your welcome words.
Hi, everyone. Good to see that so many of you have joined us on this first online Welcome to Almere event. Maybe some of you know that Almere is a new town, only 45 years old. And in this short period, we have grown from 0 inhabitants to over 215,000. And that makes Almere the 8th largest city of the Netherlands. And there are plans to grow even further. We have a lot of space in the Netherlands to accommodate the growth and to build more houses. So we grow, but not, well, in many ways, not just by adding more houses. We also stimulate economic growth. And we focus on sectors that have a good breeding ground here. Circular economy, ICT, startup and scale-ups, logistics, tourism, all sectors that have a natural fit with our city. And to make this happen, we need skilled people, people that are willing to make a contribution to our society. Now we've seen that a lot of you have come here for a job, some out of love, and maybe some for other reasons. But no matter which reason, we hope Almere can offer you a place that you can call home. And it does not matter if your intention is to stay here for only a few years or if you plan to stay here for good. You will need to find your way around our city. And that is always more difficult if you don't speak the language, and Dutch is a very hard language. And it's also difficult when you are not familiar with the culture, and Dutch culture can be different. You will learn more about that later. Almere is becoming quite international. We have already more than 140 nationalities in our city. That also shows in the participants for this event. We have counted over 30 nationalities. And to give you a few more numbers, we have around 15,000 international inhabitants in our city, and that number is growing every year. Now for this event, we have teamed up with our international community, International Almere, and with Almere City Marketing, our city promotion agency. We have put together an inviting program with speakers that will address different aspects of settling into a new city. And we hope this helps you to find your way around, even in difficult times like this with COVID-19, when group meetings are not possible. For now, we can only meet in a digital way, but in the future, I hope we can meet in person again. And let's hope that will not take too long. A good occasion, but not for the first time, I hope, would be at the Florida Expo, the International Horticultural Expo that we organized in Almere in 2022, starting in April, less than a year away. For 6 months, our city will be the stage for what we call the Greenest Day Out. The expo takes place in the heart of the city and offers not only flowers and plants, but also a greenhouse complex and country presentations. So we hope we can welcome you there as a visitor next year, and maybe we can meet even earlier than that. But for now, it's online only. The speakers are ready for you with their presentations. So I wish you all the best and enjoy.
Thank you, Maaike. Thank you for your kind words. And we really do hope to meet in person again. And who knows, this might be at the Floriade, an international event for which we hope to attract foreign visitors as well. So next is the video that we'd like to show you. It's a short video on Almere. And in a few minutes, this will give you a good idea of the city with its modern architecture and the blue of the waterways, the green of our forests, and the modern city center. So Gerry, will you put on the Almere film, please?
Almere, right next to the nation's capital, in the cultural heart of the Netherlands. Amsterdam area, the gateway to Europe, with Amsterdam Schiphol Airport linking us to the world, and modern infrastructure ensuring regional accessibility. 20 minutes from Amsterdam, where quality of life is in our nature. This is Almere. Built up from the sea only 50 years ago, Almere is home to over 200,000 people. Modern architecture and self-built projects define Almere's landscape. Where the living is easy and life is good. Education is available on all levels, including 2 international schools. With a talented workforce, excellent infrastructure, and ample business opportunities, it's no wonder that creative and innovative entrepreneurs find their way to Almere. In modern city offices, or in spacious business parks, Almere is expanding fast to become Holland's 5th largest city. With the focus on sustainable growth, future-proof economy, and outstanding education, our healthy ambitions create opportunities for companies and talents. Growing for the future, sustainability and innovation are key. In 2022, Almere will host the Floriade, an international horticultural expo focusing on the cities of the future. With continued urbanization, we look for new ways to keep our cities balanced, healthy, and attractive, growing green cities. After the expo, the area will be developed into a new city district based on green city principles. Whether it's to live, to work, to learn, or to enjoy, you are welcome. This is Almere.
Thank you, Gerry. Thank you for showing us this film. And I think who is better in his place to say something more about all the good things there are to see and to do in Almere than Nick Smit, Director of Almere City Marketing. Nick, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Monique, and welcome to everybody. Gerry, can I have the slides, please? Yes, here we go. Well, good afternoon. My name is Nick Smit. I'm the Managing Director of Almere City Marketing and the tourist office Visit Almere. And therefore, I would like to welcome you very heartily in Almere. Maybe you're already here. Maybe I'm going to tell you everything that you already know. Maybe it's a complete new surprise. But let me show you around in this way. Next slide. As said by the alderman, with over 215,000 inhabitants, Almere is one of the fastest growing cities in the Netherlands. It's centrally located in the country, and as the largest city in the Amsterdam metropolitan area, it's interesting for both companies and future inhabitants. Almere is a very attractive option. Next slide. Here we go. That's well, the map of Almere shows you that we are very centrally located. You'll reach Amsterdam by car in 25 minutes, by train in 20, Schiphol a little bit more than 30 minutes away. We have 5 districts with each its own unique character. Almere Port, for example, is known for its beach, Almere Strand, unique amount and variation of self-built houses, and of course the international school. Almere Buiten enjoys the vicinity of the nature reserve Oostvaardersplassen. Almere Haven has the boulevard on the harbor. Almere Hout has a village feeling and ample space, and Almere Stad has a city vibe with the shopping center and modern architecture. Next. So for those new to the city, in the following slides, I would like to show you some of the highlights of Almere. Next. Almere, and of course, the whole province, is a unique project. It is the largest polder in the world. In the 1950s, the area was pumped dry, roads were constructed, the city was built on the bottom of the sea. So one of the remarkable things about Almere is that everything is planned and calculated and thought out. Every tree has a purpose, the amount of bees is counted, biodiversity is carefully monitored and measured, and every house is within 5 minutes from a park, a forest, or recreational water. It is surrounded by agricultural fields that provide food and vegetables. Next. One of the most noticeable differences with the rest of Holland is that we don't have old churches, we don't have historical buildings, but instead Almere is like an open-air museum when it comes to modern architecture. Famous architects from all over the world have constructed not only buildings, but whole districts that draw international attention and are a pleasure to walk through. You will find architectural gems throughout the city. Even our local tax office on the top right corner is a stunning feature. Tours are available by foot, by bike, or bus to discover different areas. Next, please. The other spectacular thing about Almere is the vast nature areas. The youngest national park, Nieuwland, is situated partly in Almere and offers beautiful views of wildlife, deers, foxes, wild horses, and many birds, from spoonbills to kingfishers to the mighty sea eagle. The national park has a beautiful visitor center with a viewing point from which exclusive excursions can be arranged. A great starting point for a nice walk. The state forestry takes small groups of people into the heart of the national park, but just outside the park there are also many activities aimed at walking, bicycling, and special fun and educational tours for children. It's a must for nature-loving visitors. Next. Absolute recommendation, our city estate, the Campbaan. It offers a great selection of activities in the largest forest of Almere. A farmer's market, monkey sanctuary, a small zoo. There's a possibility of ziplining from tree to tree in a wonderful green and healthy environment. That's what this is all about. Next. For the sports enthusiast, we can really recommend to take a bicycle ride. Almere has a unique system of dedicated bicycle paths, so no cars, no buses, just beautiful biking through nature and city in the safest way you can imagine. This is a big bonus for yourself and for your children, of course. It makes bicycling a very relaxed and safe way to move around the city. For those seeking more adventure, there are mountain bike trails of very high quality. One trail will even be used for a World Championship this coming September and is mentioned in the top 10 of mountain bike routes in the Netherlands. Next. On top of that, Almere is really a water city. Enjoy an easy afternoon in a sloop, for example, to explore Almere during the spring or summer. There are possibilities for groups as well, and it's highly recommendable to discover the city from the water. Adrenaline seekers can really eat their heart out with wakeboarding or flyboarding, windsurfing, sailing, stand-up paddling, it's all there. And did you know that Almere is located 2 to 5 meters below sea level and has a coastline of 42 kilometers? In addition to that, Almere has the largest catamaran beach in Europe. Next, please. Throughout the summer, theater group Vis-a-Vis offers a brilliantly constructed outdoor theater spectacle, which is specifically made to be internationally accessible. The story speaks for itself, and as there is minimum conversation, there's no language barrier. It is situated outside, but offers sheltered sitting area for over 800 guests. Dinner can also be booked beforehand, and there's campfires and music afterwards. I can thoroughly recommend this to you. Next. As mentioned, from April 2022, the Florida Expo will take place in Almere. The main theme of the World Expo is how to make cities greener and more sustainable, and it combines this message with a fantastic flower and tree exposition. Are you having visitors or family over in Almere? Make sure to take them to the Expo and experience more than 50 expositions by different countries. Maybe your home country is even one of them. This year you can already experience the preview, including the cable car. As the city center is really only a stone's throw away from the Floriade, a nice visit to town can easily be made to have dinner or go for shopping, or just have a drink at one of the many terraces. Next. For those who like shopping, Almere Centrum boasts over 400 shops of all famous brands and is open 7 days a week. On Wednesdays and Saturdays, the market is the place to go for all your fresh fruits and vegetables, meat and other goods. You can literally shop till you drop, and if you want to relax from your shopping spree, you can sit down at one of the many terraces or restaurants. In the evening, the different pubs, cinema and Kunstlinie Flevoland Theater open their doors, hopefully soon again. Next. For those who like to take out their walking boots, Almere offers a wide range of walking routes, from 3 to 60 kilometers and anything in between. A very nice opportunity to bring the camera. You may just run into some wildlife on your way. And as mentioned before, it is also possible to take a guided or non-guided walking tour through the city. We have a range of tour guides in different languages that will gladly show you the secrets of the city. Sondra Silva is one of those guides, and she's the final speaker of today's webinar. Prior to the COVID outbreak, she hosted a guided tour for internationals once a month, but for today, she will take you on a digital city tour. Next. Most tours start at our tourist office. We're open 7 days a week, normally, and offer different products such as gift cards, bicycle rent, bicycle tours, and we are available to answer any question that you might have on Almere. Next. We have different language tours, and we also sell the architecture guidebook, so in several multiple languages. Next, please. Walking routes, bicycle routes, same thing. Next, please. You want to know more about how to spend your leisure time in Almere? Go to visitalmere.com/en, check out the activity calendar. Next. There's also the website, of course, thisisalmere.com. You can discover more of Almere on that. I just spoke about visit, but I would like to discuss some more matters of interest to you. Next. Living at the water's edge or in the forest or even in the dunes, it's all possible in Almere. You might already have a home, or if you are still looking for a house, Almere has endless possibilities. Next. On the living page, you will find individual websites of all the construction projects. Next. It doesn't matter if you want to buy, rent, or even build a house. Let us provide you the right tips to find the option that suits your wishes. Next. You might already have a job, or are you still looking for employment? Almere is also a very good place to start a business, which you can also find on the website. Next. There are multiple commercial areas and possibilities in office buildings and spaces. As Almere is centrally located, it's a great location for any business opportunity. You will find all possibilities on our website. Next. If you're looking for work, the largest cities in the country are also easily accessible by car and train from Almere, so you're not limited to Almere itself. Amsterdam, Utrecht are very easily accessible. Next. Our website can also inform you on education in Almere. We have primary schools, secondary schools, and universities. We also have 2 international schools, which our next speaker, Rubin Borges, will tell you all about. Next, please. Our website can also inform you on how to learn the Dutch language. Next, please. So I hope that I've been able to show you the way around Almere. Sorry that it had to be digital. I would love to take you around town, but I hope this was a good alternative. If you have any additional questions, then don't hesitate to ask them through the chat option. And I would like to direct you to visitalmere.com and thisisalmere.com. Wish you all the best in Almere, and I trust that you'll enjoy the next speakers. I would like to give the word to Monique again.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you for your presentation. And we just had one question, a short question in the chat. Maybe you can answer that straight away. And the question is, do you sell bike or walk routes online as well?
We do not have a web shop, but we can sell them. I mean, you can buy them online by sending an email, and or you can also call what you would like to get. And we have some limited opening hours at this moment in which you can pick them up. So that is possible.
Thank you. And I also saw that Roxanne has given an answer in the chat and with a direction to the website. Thank you.
Great.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you for your presentation. And we'll go straight away on to our next speaker, which is Ms. Rubin Borges, Head of International School Almere. Rubin, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Monique, and welcome everyone to this presentation. What a lovely city to be in, the city of Almere. When you come to a new country and you find yourselves, you're so enthusiastic about the job that you've had, you bring your family in, but the picture becomes complete, and you feel rested and secure when you know your children have the right education and have a spot in a school. And it becomes even more complete when you get housing close to the school, or at least by a short distance away where your child can bike to school or get by with the public transport. The city of Almere offers all of that. My name is Rubin Borges. I'm the head of school of the International School Almere, the secondary school. You can see a picture there. It's a fantastic school where you can celebrate every day and learning never stops. What I'm going to do today is, in the next 5 minutes or so, say a little bit about the school that we have, the 2 schools, the primary school and the secondary school, give you a little bit of insight into what we have to offer. And of course, you can always ask questions. I already noticed in the chat there was a question by Mr. Mishra, I thought, about that you're trying hard to find a place for your child. Next slide, please. Thanks, Kerry. We offer, we have 2 international schools in the city of Almere. One is the primary school. It's called International Primary School Almere. And the secondary school, the picture of which you just saw earlier in the previous slide, is the International School Almere. That's the secondary school. Now, in the primary school, we have students from 4 years all the way to 10 years. And when they finish their primary years in that school, most students, usually if they're still in the Netherlands, move to our school, which is the secondary school, where we have students from 11 years all the way to 18 and sometimes 19 years old. In the primary school, we offer the international primary curriculum. We have the early years, so the 4-year-olds are called the early year class. And then we have the other years, so from 5 onwards, they are in various year groups, year 1 all the way up to year 6. Once they've finished the primary school, they move to our school, if they meet the criteria, that is, and they come to the international secondary school. In the secondary school, we offer 2 of the IB programs. So we are also an IB World School. We offer the middle years program and the diploma program. In the middle years program, there are 5 years, year 1 all the way to year 5. So the students are about, pupils are 11 years to 16 years old. And then we have the diploma program, 2-year program, after which our students go to university or any other alternative further education all over the world. It really opens doors, that the diploma program really opens the doors to all universities all over the world. Next slide, please. We would like to give you some impressions of how the school looks, the secondary school looks inside. You can see the assembly hall where we have our assemblies. Unfortunately, for the last few months, we've not been able to do that. We do group meetings, which are a smaller number. We have our performances over here. We have our canteen area, breakout sessions. We have all of that here. Next slide, please. And then we have the library area, a little bit of an impression. We've used a blended approach, which basically means we are quite digitally savvy. We want our students to be able to know the latest technologies, be able to use the platforms, the electronic platforms in a smart way, but at the same time, be able to read books, to smell the books, to hold, to turn the pages, and get into the literary world and also various publications. Next slide. What's the big thing that's coming up for us in a year's time is that we will be together with the primary school moving to a campus. That's our new school building. That's an artist impression. It's in Anna Park, about 2 kilometers away from where we are right now. It's going to be fantastic. We're going to be able to accommodate about 700 students there. Currently, we can accommodate about 300 students in each of those schools. And the plan is to, in phase 2, to bring it up all the way to 1,000 students. We see that there is a need for that. And we are very thankful for the support of the Gemeente Almere in this respect, helping us with this process. Next slide, please. What is important in both the schools, the primary school and the secondary school, is the holistic learning. What we mean by that is we are looking at the academic progress of the child, but at the same time, we're looking at the socio-emotional well-being. So those two things go hand in hand. If a child is feeling good and secure and feeling safe, then automatically they're ready to learn, and that goes very quickly. We engage in many group activities. There is a lot of different strategies that are used inside the classroom and outside the classroom, because learning happens everywhere, every day. Next slide. What you see that our students, when they come in the primary, they are cute little children coming in, and then that moves into the next slide, leading to young adults, very happy about their graduation and the successes that they have received in the years that they've been with us. And then they are ready to embrace the world at large and make a positive impact to the society, to the city, to the world, and the environment.
Thank you, Rubin. I think we have to stop now as time is up.
Yeah, we've got one more slide which is something about but it's recorded, so I think you should be able to see the, I think it's just the contact details. The contact details are there, so please visit our 2 websites and you will be able to get in touch with us there. Thank you very much, Monique.
Thank you, Rubin. And as you said, we will be sending out these presentations afterwards, so people can then look at the contact details. We also had one question about contracts, if you need an indefinite contract, but we will get to that at the end, at the Q&As. We will take that question further. We will now go on to our next speaker, who is Caitriona Rush. Caitriona is Irish. Hello, Caitriona. And Hello. She runs her own company called At Home Abroad. Caitriona is a cross-cultural consultant, and her presentation is called Who Are the Dutch, or Meet the Dutch. Caitriona, you're on.
Thank you, Monique. Thank you. Could I have the first slide, please? Yeah. Thank you. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the Netherlands and welcome to Almere. Thank you for joining us today. As Monique said, I'm a cross-cultural consultant. I'm also heavily involved with a wonderful volunteer organisation called Access, which the wonderful Deborah Valentine will be talking a little bit more about later on. Before I get into my presentation, I would like to ask you a quick question. Okay, could we have the first Mentimeter up, please? I'd like to ask you, what aspects of the Dutch culture that you've noticed so far do you like? So it can be anything. What do you like about the Dutch culture? You can write more than one if you can't work it out. We have some interview. We have waterways, open to expats, happiness. I like that one. Tulips. The tulips are wonderful. Fitness. What else do we have? Welcoming. The Dutch are very welcoming, very friendly. Bikes, nature, open-minded. Happiness again. Directness. We'll talk more about that one later on. Efficient. We'll talk more about that one later on. Honesty. We'll also talk more about that one later on. The bikes. Yes, the bikes are brilliant. You can bike everywhere. The windmills. Oh, wonderful. Thank you, Gary. Thank you. So we've got a wide range. You've already seen a little bit of the Dutch culture. You've been exposed to it already, from I can see with the answers. And it's very positive, all the things that you're liking about it. Thank you for that. Thank you. Can I go back to my slide, please, Yeti? So what I'm going to talk to you a little bit about today is about the Dutch. These are wonderful, but yet somehow sometimes intriguing people that you're going to meet. And yes, they are very friendly and very welcoming, very open to expats, very tolerant, as we talked about. But sometimes they might be a bit different. Sometimes you might notice things you say, oh, that's a little bit strange. That's a little bit different to what I'm used to. So what I want to do today is give you a little bit of an introduction to the Dutch people, the culture, and I'm going to finish off giving you some tips to help you settle in and live a wonderfully happy, integrated life in the Netherlands. Can I have the next slide, please? Thank you. So when I'm talking about culture, I like to compare culture to an iceberg. Okay, so you have this small part on top that you can see, and I call this holiday culture, because the things that you notice when you go on holidays. So think back when the last time when you were allowed to go on holidays, when you visited a different country, what are the things that you notice? There are things that you can see, you know, the buildings, the people, how they dress, what the buildings are like. Is it very busy? Is it more landscape? Is there lots of nature? There are also things that you can taste, the food. You know, you come here, what do you think of the Dutch food? And also things that you can hear. The language, for example, you come here and the Dutch, they speak a different language. If you're making a decision, should I learn the language or not? So the first part of culture that's noticeable, the obvious part, is holiday culture, are things that you can see, things that you can hear, and things that you can taste. I'd like you to get back on your phones right now. I've got the next question for you, Yeri, please, about learning Dutch. I'm just interested, we're curious, how many people are planning on learning Dutch? Or maybe some of you already learned a little bit of Dutch, or you've started. Oh, I'm very impressed. Well done. So we have the majority want to learn Dutch. In the second note, we have people who already speak Dutch. Well done. We have no no's, which is wonderful. And we have one person who's unsure. Now, the ones who are yeses and the ones who already speak Dutch, brilliant. To the one person who's unsure, have a go at it. It really makes a big difference. Or talk to the people who already learned the Dutch. It really makes a huge difference to settling in if you speak the language. Everyone speaks English here, so you can get by on English, and lots of people do that. But if you really want to get to know the Dutch, to get to know the culture, their people, to be able to have a small chat with your neighbours in Dutch, you know, it really makes an effort to put, or really makes your life a lot easier to put in a bit of effort to learn a little bit of the Dutch. And it's not, I know Mike has said in the beginning that it's a difficult language. I don't think it's that difficult. Some people find it's not that difficult. So have a go at it. Come in and just try and make a little bit of effort to speak the language. Can I go back to the slides, please? So we're talking about culture, and we were talking about holiday culture. So we're talking about the top part of the iceberg, the things that you can either see, things that you can hear, and things that you can taste. And that's the easier part of culture to deal with, because we know what the differences are. You can see them, you can hear them, or you can taste them. So you can quantify the differences and you can work out how to work around it. Then you have this large part of culture that's hidden, the big part of the iceberg underneath the water. And that's the part of culture that tends to cause the most problems or the most challenges. So for example, people's expectations. You know, what kind of expectations did you have when you came to the Netherlands? What do you expect from your neighbours? You know, I saw the vast majority of you were already living in Almere, or you wanted to move to Almere. What kind of expectation do you have from your neighbours? In many societies, when you move into a new house, the neighbours come in to welcome you. In the Netherlands, it's sometimes, not always, it's the other way around. It's up to you to go and introduce yourself to the neighbours. And if you don't, they might think, oh, you want to be left alone, and they leave you alone, And you think, oh, my neighbors aren't very friendly. Working, I saw the majority of you came here for a job. What kind of expectations do you have in the working environment? What expectations do you have from your manager? Do you expect a manager who's going to tell you exactly what to do and expect you to do it? Or do you have an expectation of a manager who will let you work it out yourself? What do you expect from your colleagues? How much input do you expect from your colleagues? Do you expect everyone to share responsibility for everything, or do you expect everyone to have their own individual responsibility? So your expectations are very, very much culturally driven. Your norms, what's normal to you? Again, if we take the workplace, think about where you come from. In your society, is it normal in the workplace to call your manager by Mr. or Mrs., Sir or Madame, or by some title? Or is it normal to call your manager by the first name? They're two very different things. In the Netherlands, it's normal to call your manager by the first name. Your values, the values tend to be the beliefs behind the norms. Why do you call your manager by their first name? Why do you call a manager by the second name? Quite often you call a manager by the second name because it shows respect. It shows that they're higher up than you. It shows maybe they're older than you. On the other hand, why would you call your manager by the first name? For example, in the Netherlands, people call their manager by the first name because it shows that people are equal. So norms and values are very much linked to culture. And what's normal for you might not always be normal for the Dutch. What's normal for the Dutch might not be normal for you. And very often we have an idea in our head of what is right and what is wrong, what is good, what is bad, how you should behave, what you should say. But quite often these are very much culturally driven. And when you see something that's a little bit different, sometimes we see it as a bit negative. We think, oh, that's wrong, or that's rude, or that's not the right way of doing things. But it's not, just everyone has different norms and values, and they're very, very much related to the culture. Your priorities, for example. What does timing mean to you? You have a meeting at 9 o'clock. It could be a meeting with a friend to go for coffee. It could be a meeting to play tennis. It could be a meeting at work. Okay, 9 o'clock. What time are you there at? Are you there at 9 o'clock? Some cultures, 9 o'clock is 9 o'clock. In some cultures, 9 o'clock is 10 past 9 or 5 past 9. Some cultures, 9 o'clock is half past 9. And other cultures, 9 o'clock is 9 o'clock the next day. How people view time is also very much culturally driven. So all aspects of our daily lives are quite often driven by culture. And we don't often realize that until you're taken out of one cultural environment and put into a different cultural environment, and you begin to see the differences. So let's explore some of the differences. Let's start looking a little bit deeper into the Dutch culture. Could I have the next slide, please, Jerry? Thank you. So a very, very important belief in the Dutch culture is that everybody is equal. Okay, regardless of who you are, where you come from, what level you are, what position you have in the business environment, what age you are, sex, gender. The idea of everyone being equal is very, very strong in the Dutch society, in the Dutch psyche. But what does that mean? What does that mean for you? If we go back to the workplace, a lot of you said you were working. In the workplace, a manager is seen as an equal. What does that mean? It means that if you, for example, don't agree with your manager, you can say so, and it's actually expected. A lot of you, the societies that you're from, you wouldn't disagree with a manager, especially not in public or especially not in a meeting with other people. Maybe aside privately you might be able to, but generally speaking in a meeting, you wouldn't disagree with your manager. In the Netherlands, a manager isn't seen as better than you. A manager is seen as a colleague. Okay, so you can disagree with your manager. And vice versa, if you are a manager here, you might have people disagreeing with you. For you, it might seem very disrespectful, but it's not intended that way. People are seen as equals. We just had a talk about schools, so I'm assuming a large majority of you have children. What does it mean for children? Children here are brought up very much as equals. Children are brought up to have their own opinions. Children here make their own play dates. In other countries, it's the parents who make the play dates. In the Netherlands, the children make their play dates. They're brought up from a very young age to speak out. In school, even in primary school, they're taught to speak in front of a class, to speak in front of a group of people, to have their own opinion. As they move up, that progresses. You'll find in universities here, students are encouraged to discuss and to debate with their lecturers, something that doesn't happen in all countries around the world. So this idea of no matter what position you are, what age you are, everyone being the same is very, very important. So it's something to bear in mind. And I'd just like to show you, could I have the next slide, please, Yeri? Hopefully on this next slide, I've tried to get all of your countries in there. And we had a huge sign up and a huge amount of countries. So I apologize if your country is not on this. But what I wanted to do is show you how hierarchical your country is compared to the Netherlands. So you can see on the slide there, we have on one side, we have the Netherlands, we have countries where everyone is seen as equal. And on the other end of the thing, we have countries where everyone is seen as not equal. Those countries are more hierarchical. So for the majority of you, You are from countries that are either in the middle or tending towards the more hierarchical side of things compared to the Netherlands. So for the vast majority of you watching this, the Dutch, you are more hierarchical than the Dutch. Or where you come from, I should say. I don't know about you individually, but where you come from is more hierarchical. So it's something very much to bear in mind, both in your working life, but also in your private lives here, that this belief of everyone being equal is very, very important. Now, can I, before we go to the next slide, could I have the next Mentimeter question, please, Yeri? Something else that came up, I think, 3 times in what people like about the Dutch culture. We had communication, directness, and honesty. So I have a little question for you, another question for you. The Dutch communication style is often described as direct. Do you agree? Okay, we have yes as a clear winner, I think, already. We have yes going up. Anyone else? Yes is still going up. Okay, we have one unsure. Anyone else like to vote? 21. Okay, the yes is climbing, 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 climbing. Okay, I think most people would agree, both internationals who move to the Netherlands and also the Dutch themselves, that the Dutch are quite direct. I think that's no big news. But why are they direct? That's something I'd like to talk about. And I feel it would be a shame to not to call upon one of my esteemed Dutch colleagues out here. I was wondering, would Monique or Dick or Yeri, would you like to unmute yourselves and come on and, you know, why are the Dutch direct? Would one of you like to say that, or are you all scared? Oh,
we are
Monique.
direct, so we like to answer that question straight away. We like to speak our mind, and we think it cuts a lot of long conversation short if you say directly how you feel about something.
Thank you. Perfect. Thank you. I always like to involve the Dutch in this one. Thank you, Monique. Thank you. And that's what it's about. The Dutch don't beat around the bush. Sorry. You know, for many of you, the countries that you're from, it's important to be honest, but it's more important to be polite. So we don't want to offend people. So we say things in a little bit of a roundabout way. In the Netherlands, those values are the other way around. Being open and being honest are very important values. So for the Dutch person, if a Dutch person says something to you, you think, oh, that was a little bit rude, that was quite direct. It's not meant that way. They're just saying things as they are. They just really have a strong value of honesty, being openness, being transparent, and being direct. And it's not meant bad, it's not meant rude, it's not meant to offend you. They just like to say things as they are. You know, the Dutch have a... Yes.
Can I say things as they are? I think your time is nearly up.
Okay.
That you have to go and work towards the end.
Okay, can we have the next slide, please? Next slide. Okay, we just talked about communication style. Can I have the next one? Okay, and can I go on? I'm going to skip on over that one. I'll explain that one later on. Can I go back one more, please? Thank you. Okay, now, one last little thing. What motivates the Dutch? What makes the Dutch happy? Okay, some countries are very much motivated by status, motivated by nice cars, having lots of money, you know, motivated by who you are, your job. I'm CEO of a company, very, very important. Other societies, yes, who you are and the amount of money, of course it's important, but work-life balance is more important. So the Netherlands is very, very much a work-life balance society. So you have this idea of people work hard when they're at work, but they also enjoy their private life and they enjoy their free time. So you'll find maybe working hours might be shorter here than what you're used to. People will work hard when they're at work, but at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock they finish, they go home so they can have dinner with their families, or they can have something, they play sports in the evenings, or they meet friends or go out and do something nice. So you'll find if you're from a society that's very much status orientated, where people are very much obsessed with how much money they have and how big a car you have or your house where you live, you'll find the Netherlands might be quite refreshing for you. Here it's less important. People have a stronger value here on having a good life and having a good work-life balance, which I think makes it a great place to come and live, especially if you've got a family or you want to bring a family up here. Can I have the last slide, please? Thank you. I'd just like to finish off and give you some tips for settling in. Invite your neighbours in, you know, when you're allowed, of course, when Corona permits it. Please, it's a great way of getting to know your local environment, getting a way to know the local, maybe you like the local butcher, a good baker, getting information about your local, what goes on around the place, how to meet people. It's also, if you've got children, it's a good way of finding out who has children the same age as yours. Learn the language. I talked about that a little bit earlier on. Make sure you treat everybody as equals. Don't act like you're better than anybody else because you're older or because you've got a higher position. Treat everyone the same. Be aware that not everyone thinks the same way you do. You have norms and values that are driven by your culture. Other people have norms and values driven by their own culture. Be curious, learn more about the Dutch, ask questions. When you meet Dutch people, ask them about them. The Dutch are great. They like to help you. They like to explain things. Be clear and direct when you're talking in your communications. Remember, the Dutch like direct communications. If you're a little bit indirect, they might not understand you. So it's a good way to practice being more direct and saying what you want. And the very last thing I'd like to leave you with, something very, very important living in the Netherlands, is you have to stand up for yourself over here. If you want something, you have to ask for it. You have to go after it. Don't expect people always to know what you want. If something is important to you, you go and ask. And if you don't get an answer that gives you that's suitable, or you don't get an answer that you understand, or you don't get an answer at all, find a different way of asking. And keep asking and keep at it until you get an answer that suits what you want and gives you what you need. Thank you for that. I wish you all the best in the Netherlands and have a lovely day. Thank you.
Thank you, Caitriona. Thank you for your presentation. And I can understand that you need more time because it's always so interesting to talk about the different cultures. And I think it's really important to understand the culture you come from and the culture you go to in order to really feel at home and to start settling in. And it's only then when your real life starts happening here. So thank you for your presentation. And we go straight on to our next speaker, who can say something about her own experience. It's Becky Riddle. And Becky has been in Almere since 2006. And Becky, please tell us what your experiences are and were since coming to Almere. Becky, floor is yours.
Thanks, Monique. Yeah. Well, first of all, welcome everybody. Welcome to Almere. I know we've got a diverse group of people with us here today, and we're all going to have different cultural backgrounds, as we've just been told, and different reasons for wanting to know more about Almere and living in the Netherlands. You now get to hear my story, and obviously bear in mind that my experiences are likely to be different to yours because of my cultural background. Is different to yours, as well as the fact that I've been here for so long. So things may have changed, least of all Corona not allowing us to do quite a lot of the things I love about Almere. But still, I'm able to do quite a bit, which is great. I hope my whole story will be helpful to you, and don't worry if you can't follow everything. As I say, this presentation will be sent to you, and I've got my notes in the presentation that you'll receive, so, and a few links to a few of the things that I mention. So hopefully, I hope it will be helpful for your own unique journey through Almere. So next slide, please, Jerry. Okay, so who am I? I'm Becky. We've got a picture there of me with my family when we first arrived, and with us about a year or so ago. As you can see, my children have grown slightly. I'm about as old as Almere, I have to say, and I moved here from the Midlands area of the UK with my husband and then 2 children. We now have 3 teenage girls. Why did we come to Almere? Well, that's an easy question to answer. My husband got made redundant in the UK and looking for a job. He found one with a company that's based here in Almere. He applied, he got it, and we moved with a 6-month-old and an almost 2-year-old, and said we'll give it 6 months, and 15 years later we are still here. What were my first impressions? Now, when I first arrived from the Netherlands from the UK, my first impression was that it's flat, very flat and very open. But I felt I could breathe. Loved that. And then Almere, we found a little confusing to start because when we arrived, we had no GPS to guide us in. But once we found our new home and started exploring, I personally was very surprised because I have to confess, I was brought up in the country in the UK, and I am not a city girl. But I found Almere to be a lot cleaner, neater, and more spacious than I was expecting. And it had easy access to everything you need to live a good and comfortable life here. So I was very pleasantly surprised. Next slide, please, Sherry. So, as I say, we arrived in 2006, and I'm just now going to give you a little bit of information about our first 3 months of our new adventure, discovering the Netherlands and discovering in Almere, because when we first arrived, I had no internet or telephone access to start with, so I kept a little record for a while to send back to family and friends, and I'm so glad I did, because I read through them in order to do this presentation, and rediscovered some of the things I discovered about the Netherlands and Almere. So first of all, what did I discover about the Netherlands? First of all, driving. They drive on the wrong side of the road here. Or should that be the right? As in the UK, we drive on the left-hand side, and on the right-hand side here, that was a little scary to start with. But now I've got perfectly used to it, and it's totally normal. The other thing is bikes. There's a lot of them here. And they actually seem to have more rights than motorists or pedestrians. And you can have a bike for pretty much anything that you need, including carrying 3 children, your shopping, as well as maybe the dog and a wardrobe on your bike. And yes, I did see somebody once carrying bedroom furniture on there for their handlebars, which, yes, was quite interesting in the first few months coming to a new country. We also found the Netherlands to be very child friendly. As I say, we moved with 2 young children, and most places we went would have some form of colouring or games for the children to be able to play with and keep them occupied. However, the customer service wasn't quite as helpful as we were used to in the UK. But on the other side, they do seem to wrap all your gifts for you free of charge at the counter, which was quite a nice little surprise. The main thing we found about the Netherlands was there is a lot of paperwork to complete. You need to register at several places, which for us included the IND, which is the Immigration Department. So you can get your BSN, which is your Burgerservice number, or your Citizen Service number, National Insurance Equivalent, tax number, Social Security, that kind of thing. And you need to have that number for being able to work or applying for assurances or bank accounts or receiving salary, that sort of thing. You also need to register at your local gemeente, which is your town hall or council department. People who are very nicely hosting this for us. You also need to register with a bank, with your doctors, with a dentist, mouth hygienist, a school and nursery, depending on your child's needs. We had to register our child at Peuterspeelzaal, which is a toddler and play group, which I think is now done as part of the opvang, so that's changed over the years. And the main thing that you need to ensure you get is your health insurance, because there's no national health service as we were used to in the UK. So that was one of the first things that we had to do. Fortunately, as my husband was relocated here through work, we had a relocation agent who guided us through all of the above. And she also supplied us with several books and things about the Netherlands, including a booklet from Expatica, which you can access information through their webpage, and information to Access, who are another organisation like Expatica who can help you find your way around the Netherlands. And we will be finding out more from Deborah, I believe, shortly after I have finished with my story. So that's basically the first thing that we discovered about the Netherlands. And then discovering Almere. Thanks to that booklet that we got from Expatica, I found details of a mother and baby group where I could go to with my children that was called the ABCDE, or the Almere Baby Club for Dutch and English. It was based in Parkvijk, which was the neighbourhood where we were living, and it became my lifeline. It was where I found support to settle into Almere, as well as lifelong friends. And it was through this network that we discovered a lot of things about our new home city, such as apparently no house is more than about 500 metres from a bus stop, and each neighbourhood has been specifically designed and built to ensure easy access to all essential amenities, such as shops, schools, healthcare, community centres and transport links, and of course dedicated cycle routes that often mean you can get from one neighbourhood to another neighbourhood quicker by bike than you can by car. One of my new lifelong friends showed me around the main shopping centre and pointed out all the different shops and what I could expect to buy there, which was a great exercise comparing them to my shops in my own country. Of like, if I wanted this, I would go to this shop in the UK, and I need to go to Etos or wherever it is here in Holland. So that was really good to be able to have that local knowledge from somebody at the group that I found. We also discovered that Almere has a fantastic local general market that runs. It's in different areas of the city during the week. So I think Tuesday it is in Poort, Wednesday and Saturday in Stad, Thursday in Bouten, and a Friday in Haven. And yeah, I have to say I do go to the weekly market still, and I can get pretty much most of my fresh fruit and vegetables, brilliant nuts, fruit and nuts, and cheese, and lots of other things aside. And there's also a farmer's market down at the Campan on a Saturday morning, so that was good as well. And Almere does really have something for everyone. As much as you only need to walk about 5 minutes in one direction to find shops and local amenities, you can walk 5 minutes in the other direction and be in the middle of nature, woodlands, lakes, open spaces, and of course you've got the canals everywhere that you look. Our newfound Almere friends were also responsible for introducing us to several Dutch delicacies, such as pancakes or strudel waffles, and oliebollen, which I might come back to in a bit. But my biggest tip for settling into any new places is to get connected with other people. As Caitriona has just said, don't be afraid to ask questions. And one of the best ways to get to know people, and that is through International Almere, who you'll be hearing from later from Margaret. So that would be great. Next slide, please, Jerry. Thank you. So 15 years in Almere. What were my general experiences and discoveries of day-to-day living? Obviously, there is quite a lot. This just touches on a few things. I hope I don't bore you too much now, but I'll quickly go through what we've got here. Learning the Dutch language. As Caitriona has already said, if you're here for longer than a tourist visit, then it would be very useful to learn the Dutch language. I'm still yet to decide if the fact that most Dutch like to be able to practice their English when they know you speak it is a help or a hindrance when making yourself understood. Fortunately, due to our relocation package, we were given lessons when we first arrived, although there are a few sounds that are difficult to get my teeth around, like the h and the sh. And also the vowel sounds I found very confusing between the Dutch and the English pronunciations. And I'm just not going to touch on grammar because that's not my strong point at all. Pregnancy and childbirth in the Netherlands. If you were paying attention earlier, you would have noticed that one of my biggest experiences living here was pregnancy and the inevitable birth of our third daughter. I arrived with 2, I now have 3. And she was born at home without pain relief about 3 weeks before the first anniversary of us living here in Almere. So that was quite an experience. The Dutch attitude of birth, pregnancy and birth suited me very well. It's quite relaxed, and I did have a wonderful experience. However, I do know one of these cultural things. I have friends from other areas of Europe and America who found the relaxed approach quite a little disconcerting, as they were used to a more medicated and controlled and scientific attitude towards health matters. And the Dutch medical idea of take paracetamol and come back in 3 days if it's not better can be a bit of a shock to the system.
Becky, can I just...
Am I out of time?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay, no problems. I shall quickly rush over the last few bits. Education system, having 3 girls. That was quite an important thing, and one of my biggest challenges was actually to educate myself on the way the education system works, but Rubin's already given you some idea of that. Children's sports and activities, there is a massive stuff to do, and again in my presentation there's a link to a couple of search websites that you can go to find more about what's available in Almere, but there's masses of stuff. Again, another idea that Almere has something for everybody. It truly does. One of the other experiences that was quite large for us was buying a house. We had rented to start for 6 years and then decided we were definitely staying, so we'd buy our own property. And so 2012 we did that. And again, we employed somebody, not a relocation agent, but a Koop makelaar, as a buying estate agent basically, who helped us through the whole process of that. The Dutch culture and traditions was also something that we've got used to. So as you've heard from Caitriona, they can be quite a unique bunch, the Dutch, and there are a few things that we enjoy. So and traditions like King's Day, St. Martin, Sinterklaas, New Year's Eve is an experience to be had with the fireworks when they allow them, hopefully this year. And then things to do and places to go. You've already seen Nick's things. My favourite things to do is to get a National Museum card, which not only allows you access to museums across the country, but also access to our own museum pit in Almere, and masses in Amsterdam, of course. The Campan is absolutely excellent, and I also thoroughly enjoy Almere city centre, especially the Groot Mart and Belfort areas, where you'll find lots of restaurants that when they open are very nice. Next slide, please. And that brings me to the thank you and to wish you all the best for your adventures in Almere. And any questions, then I'll be happy to answer them in the question and answer session later. And as I say, all of what I've mentioned and a few links will be in the presentation that gets sent to you after the webinar. So thank you, Monique, and I hope I haven't run over too much.
Thank you, Becky. There is so much to tell about Almere, and
there
your whole
is.
story
It's
of
such a
coming
fantastic
here.
place. I can't say more.
I know, but also I think it's good to mention you are part of International Almere. You're a member there, and that is a good network if people want to get in touch with people who've lived here for some time. So I think that's an invitation to join that network.
Yeah. And I was fortunate to find that through a baby group with my children, but International Almere is for those without children, with partners, without partners, all the rest of it. You know, it's for everybody, whereas a baby group was specifically for moms with babies. So yeah.
Exactly. But we have Margaret who will say something more about International Almere. Thank you, Becky.
Yeah.
And we'll now go over to Deborah Valentine. Deborah Valentine of Access. And Access is a national volunteer-driven organization for internationals by internationals. Deborah, it's yours.
Thank you, Monique. And I'll wait for my slides to come up, and I'll just take a few minutes just to explain who Access is. So my name is Deborah Valentine. I arrived in the Netherlands as an expat international many years ago. We won't go into those details, but I have been working with Access now for about 10 years. Next slide, please. Access is a volunteer non-profit organization which has been around in the Netherlands since 1986. All our volunteers, and what makes our services quite unique is that our volunteers are actually internationals, expats, people who have relocated here. 90% of them are partners, so spouses and partners of people who have been sent here. And so when they are answering our questions through our website, on our help desks, it is always from that point of view of experience. So we work out of The Hague, but we're based, answers to our questions are national, of course. We have about 120 volunteers from about 40 countries. As I mentioned, they've all experienced the expatriation process and the relocation, and so quite often answer questions from that point of view. And we work with the cities of Amsterdam, Leiden, The Hague, and Utrecht in their expat desks, where our teams are also, when you're allowed to visit, are also available for you to come and ask questions. Of course, questions can always be asked by email. On our website, we have, next slide please, we have about 300 frequently asked questions and the answers, of course, as well, on the topics that people most frequently contact us for. Next slide, please, Jerry. Thanks. The website, as I said, has those questions and answers. This is a general overview of our website. Our topics are organized according to 6 categories. Of course, if your question is not there, please do not hesitate to send our team your question, and you will be answered within a day, at most 2 days. Our teams work every day. Sadly, not from our office since COVID has started, but actively online from various corners of the country, looking after all the questions that we do receive. You'll also find some additional information on our website regarding childbirth courses or our on-call counseling network. Next slide, please. who are also available to help you. Just waiting for the next slide. But so the main reason that we can help is answering questions from experience combined with our knowledge. But we also share a lot of information, either in articles that we write or the content and the ideas and the suggestions of many of our partners and our sponsors, which we also share on social media and on our website. Next slide, please, Jerry. Which gives you a chance to discover a little bit more of the country, but predominantly get you over the hurdle of the questions you have. So a relocation is obviously a monumental event. It's very exciting and it can be very frightening and daunting. We like to think that a relocation, the whole process of a relocation takes about a year until you can say you've had a first of either seasons or experiences or meeting people. So, and in the course of that year, questions pop up. And these are the questions we invite and encourage you to share with us. Our counseling network is also available every month. We have 2 counselors who are on call to receive your inquiries and refer you to the right kind of support you might be looking for. We have a network of professionals and trainers, people working in different fields and industries which are relevant to the internationally mobile community, and they can be reached out for whatever support that they offer. Our magazine is also published 3 times a year and distributed predominantly through international schools and expat centers that we work with or where we have contacts with them. And can be picked up free of charge, and is also, of course, available online as well as a digital magazine. Next slide, please. Oh, and we have programs for employers, people who are bringing in lots of internationals. We've been working with a lot of HR departments in that field. Why do we do all of this? Well, more than 35 years ago, there was a notification. People noticed that the community was struggling. And access became the solution to those struggles. And the reason we work and the reason we help and why it matters is because we've all been there. Every single person who has been through our network of volunteers, people in the office, on the help desks, at our expat desks have all traveled this path of relocation. And we know what the value of listening carefully to someone's question is and finding the right answer and pointing people in the right direction so that they can find the solutions that they need themselves. And we care. We know it's tough, but we also know that the Netherlands is a good location for an expatriation or a relocation. There are many, many positives. Sometimes you just need to ask a few more questions before you figure it out. But when you do figure it out, there's much to be taken advantage of. Next slide, please. So I know we're running out of time, so I'm going to wrap this up quite quickly. So if you have a question, please do get in touch. Check our website, but also send your personal questions to Help Desk. I know that International Almere and the City of Almere are very, very good at the local, what's happening in your local community. But if you have bigger questions, then please don't hesitate to reach us, and we will do our very, very best to guide you in the right direction. Monique, I did it quick because I know you're running out of time.
You did it. Thank you, Deborah. Thank you for working with us, because indeed we are running a little bit out of time. But thank you for sharing this information with us. And I think you're doing very important work. The mental well-being is important, and it's good that you're there. And
Yes,
as you said, you can be reached online now in these times.
Yes.
And once we get back to the office, there's also an office in Amsterdam in Amsterdam, International Newcomers Amsterdam, or the Expat Center, where people can come in and walk up and ask their questions.
Sorry, you just reminded me of one thing I forgot to mention. Because we can't do the face-to-face, we are offering online consultations. The link can be found on the In Amsterdam website, and people can book a half hour to sit down online via Zoom to discuss whatever questions or series of questions they have with our team. So we're finding a halfway point.
Good. Thanks for sharing that with us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And okay, we go over now to the next speaker on a local level. We have the International Community of International Almere. And with us today is Margaret Wuisman, who is the Director of International Almere. Margaret, it's yours.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Monique. Yes, as you said, I'm Margaret Wuisman. I'm here to tell you a little bit about our organisation, International Almere. Could I have the next slide, please? Right, yeah. I want to tell you a little bit about who we are and what we do, how we work together to support the international community. Could I have the next slide, please? Thank you. Okay, who we are. We are a group of volunteers. We are here aiming to help internationals to build social networks in Almere. We are a purely social organisation. We're all internationals or internationally minded, so that means there's a lot of us are Dutch as well. And it is great to have the support of Dutch locals. We're here working together to support the international community, to help people to settle and help people to build social contacts. Next slide, please. And what we do, most of what we do is organising events to help bring people together. We have several different events every month, and we have yearly events like Christmas parties, Halloween parties. We also have a Facebook page, which is a great way to meet other people from the community. We have about 3,000 followers on Facebook, which is a lot of people. All people who've been here a while, who found their way, from all different nationalities and backgrounds. Everyone's there to share their experiences and their tips and to make contacts. So look us up, because if you have a question, it is a great place to come. There is always someone who's been there, done that, dealt with that problem already, and they're there on Facebook to help you. We also have a housing page on Facebook. We don't help people to find housing, but being an international community, a lot of people are leaving and arriving, so houses are going up for rent, or other people are looking for houses, so we can bring people together. Could I have the next slide, please? Thank you. This is an overview of some of our regular monthly events. We have a Friday night drinks and in Almere Stad. We have a drinks night in Almere Buiten. We have a pub quiz once a month. These are all events that are open to everybody, whatever nationality, whatever age. Anybody can roll up and they're welcome to join in. We have a Welcome to Almere tour, which is led by Sandra, who will be doing the virtual tour here in a moment. And Sandra will show you way around Almere, help you to find places. We have a book club, a group of members who meet at each other's homes every month to discuss a book. And we have the language cafe. As we've already discussed so far, it can be really difficult to learn Dutch. People keep speaking English back at you, and it is very hard to find a place where you can practice. We have our language cafe every Saturday afternoon in Almere Stad. You can just pop in for 10 minutes or for an hour, and we have a drink and we practice together. We have native Dutch speakers who come to help. We have people at all levels of Dutch, and everyone is very patient, so you can just practice without feeling uncomfortable. Can I have the next slide, please? This is a few photos just to give some idea of some of the events we do. As you can see, our Christmas party, our get-togethers, and we're always looking for new ideas, for new events. Anything you're missing, let us know. Can we have the next slide, please? Yeah, I just wanted to give a shout out to the ABCDE Play Group, which is a sister group of ours. Becky's already mentioned them, but they meet in weekday mornings in the Buurtcentrum in Parkwijk. And it is a great place. Mums get together to have coffee while the children can play. All their contact details are here. So if you're looking for somewhere to contact other international mums, it's a great place to go. Next slide, please. Waiting for next slide. Yeah, thank you. Of course, most of our events we've had to put on hold because of Corona. So it's been a pretty quiet year for us. But our Facebook page has been really active. There are a lot of people there, people contacting each other, people with questions, people wanting to know solutions to problems. Your roof's leaking, you need a gardener, you want to know where to go for a day out. It's a great place to get in contact with people. Please look us up. We have online drinks evenings. You can see us all there on photo having a drink together online. We have the language cafe we've started up online as well. Join us on Zoom. Come and practice your Dutch. It's a good way to practice again. It's informal. No one cares if you make mistakes. No one cares what your level of Dutch is. But we can all practice on each other, and there are native speakers to help us. So if you check out our Facebook page or our website, you can get the details. We also have this walk in the park event. You can sign up and we'll assign you a partner to go for a walk. It's a great way to meet people face to face and keep within the corona regulations. You can have a different partner every week, so you can meet lots of new people. Next slide, please. Thank you. And these are our contact details. Please look up our website, look up our Facebook page, come and join us. If you have any ideas, questions, suggestions, anything, send us an email at info@internationalalmere.com, because we would love to hear from you. And we hope that we will see some of you at some of our events really soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Margaret. That was short and clear. And I think especially in the end, it's important your contact details, which we will also share afterwards.
Yeah.
Because you do have a good Facebook community and people really help each other. So when there is questions, people can post them on the Facebook, and there's subgroups for different topics. And I think it's a real help for if you're international in Almere, you want to get to know other people. And of course, we can't wait till we can do live events again.
No, definitely. That will be really nice.
Yeah. But thank you for this. And now we'll go over to our last speaker. And this is Sondra Silva. Sandra is not only a national tour guide, but also, of course, a local tour guide. And she would have loved to show you around in person. Unfortunately, we can't do that now. So Sandra has prepared for you a virtual tour. Sandra, I give the floor to you. There you are. Hello, hello.
Hello, welcome to Almere, nice people. I'm Sandra, Sondra Silva from Sandra's Tours, and I'm Portuguese. I live in Almere since December 2007, and I'm as well a Portuguese and history teacher, a national guide in the Netherlands, and an art ambassador here in Almere. This presentation will focus the highlights of the 5 districts of Almere, as well the vibrant international architecture, some public artworks, and Almere as a garden city. Next slide, please. Okay, Nick already told us, and I will do the bridge here. So Almere is the newest city of the Netherlands, is a municipality since 1984 and comprises 5 districts: Haven, Stad, Bouten, Oud and Poort. It is located nearby Amsterdam and Utrecht in the province of Flevoland. This is reclaimed land. So let's go to the 3rd slide, please. Okay, let's back in time and we go to October 1967. What we have here, water, right? So we are seeing the Oosterwaardersdijk and the pumping station, the Blok van Kuvelaar. And in 7 months, not 9, we got land. And so we were ready to think about building. At the right side, you will see a picture how it looks nowadays, okay? So let's go to the first city district, Almere Haven. At the left side, we have a picture of the Klerk family. This family was the first one to receive their house keys here in Almere in 1976 by the Minister of Transportation at the time. And together with 23 families, they went to live in the schoolwerk, the schoolyard. the first neighborhood of Almere have. And looking at the picture, you will see the neighborhood is organized in a cauliflower disposition. This meaning, and that was proposed to promote the contact between the new residents of the neighborhood. Next slide, please. Okay, so we have here the first buildings of our city, the most important buildings, if you want, in Almere have. The first city theater, Kurosia, and also the first public artwork at Rezin, the nuclear family, and also the first church. I know there are people from Russia here. I would like to point out the mural, because it was painted by two Russian artists from the city of Dimitrov, and this is a city with friendly ties with Almere. All these two buildings and the public artwork, they are very, they are centrally located near the Kerkgracht. Kerk is church, as you know. So if you look to the buildings of the canal, especially at the top, there is a kind of staircase effect, and this is very typical for the Dutch architecture, the old Dutch architecture, and this was on purpose to make the people feel at home in Almere, because most of them were coming from Amsterdam. So the great inspiration of this canal, it was it was the old Dutch cities here. Okay, very important, at least I'm very proud of it. It is about our police station. And why? Because it was the first building to be finished by Rem Koolhaas, the first building of all. Rem Koolhaas is a Dutch architect, well-known, Pulitzer Prize. It is like the Nobel of Architecture. But the first one, it is situated in Almere. So our police station since 2019, a municipal monument. Next slide, please. Okay, Osgracht, familiar to me. I will tell you why. So we are moving now for the second city district, Almere Stad. And the first neighborhood, it was Stedenwijk, Steden Cities, Wijk neighborhood. And the streets here are named after Dutch cities. So the first 37 families received their house keys in June 1980. Familiar to me, why? Because when we came to the Netherlands, we went to live in the apartment complex at the right side, at the number 45, but there is no plaque there telling about that. So, but we were very happy because we were very near to the city center, to all the facilities there. So we will see that on the next slide. The next, exactly. Stadhuisplein by night. Okay, so we have here the city hall, and the architect was Kees Dam. Kees Dam is also known for the city hall in Amsterdam, but there he worked with his father-in-law. Here he worked alone. And if you look at the window, you see a huge transparency, right? It was on purpose because he wanted to show the transparency of the local government. And next to the Stadhuis, we have our beautiful, in my opinion, library, best library of the Netherlands in 2010. And there you will find a very nice cafe, 2 cinemas, because there is one more, and also an inner garden, but it is an open air inner garden. You will also find Dutch reading clubs where you can improve your Dutch. So let's go to the next slide. Okay, so we are jumping in the 90s. And the city center went through a huge renovation process in this period. And who was in charge? Rem Koolhaas. He was the architect in charge. And this idea, it was, okay, let's make this an upper world with houses and stores and restaurants, and a below world. And what you find there, parking lots, car lanes, bus lanes. So it is a very family-friendly city center because it's very safe for the kids and the families to be there. So it didn't work alone on this, as several international architects came over, and one of them, it was Christian de Porzampar. And if you are already in Paris and you know the Cité de la Musique, you know about whom I'm talking about. Porzampar decided to make, okay, let's make here a citadel. This means that the city center, you see those paths in brown with the townhouses in white and yellow, right? Okay, he was inspired by the medieval cities, the medieval European cities. We have inclusive a protective tower, and we see that on the left side at Cantel. So, and all this area, it is higher than the surrounding area. So we are in fact in a citadel of the Middle Ages, right? In the new city of the Netherlands. A very interesting point for me, it is at the right side. You will see 3 buildings. One, it is from an English architect, the Jewel. In the middle, a building from Switzerland, the Smaragd, the Emerald. And at the right side, the citadel from Christian Porzampar. So it is almost like a meeting of the European Union here, right? Confluence of 3 international architects. Can we go to the next slide? Okay, we are now at the Esplanade, a very nice place to be, renovated. And here we also find 2 interesting projects from international architects, like our city theater, Kunstillini. The architects were from Japan. They are also Pulitzer Prizes, Porzampar and Colas. And this theater, as you see, lays on the water, the Weerwater. And the Weerwater means water again. And the Weerwater initially was land, then, it was water, then we had the land, and then water again, because it was the dream of Tom Colas, one of the founding fathers of the city, to make an inner lake in the city center. Tom Colas was also an architect and a cousin of Rem Koolhaas. Okay, so at the right side, you have also the Urban Entertainment Center, at least part of it, the Apollo Hotel and the building that is now the Beer Fabriek. And this complex was also designed by an international architect, William Alsop from UK. But we have also a very special building, at least for me, the Wave. I like it very much. And it is from a local architect, René van Zuuk. He is now in charge of the Weerwater Island bridge that will connect the Lumière Park with Floriava. Let's go for the next slide. Okay, this for me it is an hidden gem, because this is located, the La Défense, it is located nearby the train station. And I find it a very nice ensemble, a very nice set between the building and the sculptures of Ram Katsir. And Katsir is from Israeli origin. And I love the colors effect of the buildings as well, Van Berkel. So let's go to another city district, right? So we go to Almere Buiten. So Almere Buiten has 13 neighborhoods, but I will highlight here 2 of them, the Regenboogbuurt and the Eilandenbuurt. Regenboogbuurt means a rainbow, and rainbow, why? Because we have a lot of color in this neighborhood. And why? Because it was inspired by Bruno Taut, a German architect. And I advise you to go there this weekend, because you will take wonderful pictures of the cherry trees, and you will see the connections. Pay attention to that, between the plants and the trees and the buildings, because nothing was by chance there, okay? You will also see the Klein India. or Small India, a project that was inspired by the Taj Mahal. So from the people from India, go to the Klein India. So we have also the island booth next to it. And the houses that you see here on the slide, they are called cat and woning. So think about the cats, think about the back of the cat, and you are petting the cat. So if that's why the name, okay? That is the reason for the name. But if you look to the facades, what you see there, it is yellow, and it is orange, and it is green. And these kind of colors remind us of Williamstad, Curaçao. Okay. Next slide, please. Also lift, yeah, okay. Fourth City District, Almere Hout. Okay. So we now live nearby, just on the Varkenshout. So I need to go quick.
We are running out of time.
I'm almost in the end.
Thank you.
So we have Novelhorst, and it is a village in the city with the community is very strong. They have very strong bonds, and also Vogelhorst, that is a villa park where privacy is queen and king here. So let's go to the fifth district, Almere Port, and here I will highlight Almere's Quartier, the largest area for privately commissioned housing in the Netherlands, but as well because we are talking about internationals. This artwork, this public artwork, the Polderland Garden of Love and Fire, because it was inspired of a poem, a Spanish poem of the 16th century, and when Daniel Libeskind, he is from German origin, naturalized American, decided to make this, it was based on that poem, and he made a connection between waterways and to symbolize the connection between three European cities, Salamanca in Spain and Berlin in Germany and Almere in the Netherlands. A very nice place to meditate. So we are almost there to the end. So let's go Almere as a garden city. Next slide, please. Okay, so Almere was inspired by the garden city movement of the 19th century that took place in England. But of course, this concept has changed along the years, and new connections, new combinations were possible, like between green and art and green and history. That's why we have the Green Cathedral in Almere Hout, inspired by a French cathedral, the Cathedral of Reims. We have also in Almere Hout at Museum Bos. Bos is the woods, right? And you will find there many landscape artworks. And also very dear to me, it is the woods, the forest of the Indomitable at Bos van der Onverset Lijken, because it is a national monument that pays and honors the memory of the more 2,000 Dutchmen shot during the Second World War. The photo that you see here is the Anne Frank tree. And if you are in the garden or in a park, why not read a book about green cities? So we have this one from a writer from England, and he was a guest resident here in Almere. He lived here in Oberhorst during 3 years, and he wrote this book. And I would like to finish this presentation at the next slide, the last one, in Oostvaardersplassen, a nature reserve, as you can see by the photo. And I hope you have enjoyed this this travel, this back in time, and see you here in Almere. Be very happy here. I think you will be. And you can reach me via my website and via my email. Be happy out there. Okay.
Thank you, Sandra. Thank you. Thank you for taking us on your virtual tour. And I think we really got the feeling of walking through Almere, and there is so much more to tell, and then time is short. And we are already running over time. So we are now coming to our Q&As, the question and answers at the end. And I think we just like to touch on 2 questions. And some of the questions were already answered in the chat, so have a look in the chat. So because some questions we were able to answer directly. And I think it's interesting to take one of the questions which was there, which was about education. Rubin, maybe you can come back online on the screen. And there was a question about admission to the school, if that's for people only with indefinite contracts. Maybe you can say something about that.
That's right. Typically, most people move when they move from different countries. Can you see me actually?
Yes, we can.
Okay. You can. The most important thing is that you need to have a contract where you know it can be indefinite. It's not a problem. The most important thing, there are a couple of things that you have to consider. You have to consider if you're going to be long term here in the Netherlands and going to get a Dutch passport, then the advice is to go into the national system if your child is young enough, because they can quickly pick up the Dutch host country language. If it's indefinite, as in terms of if it's, usually when you come in, you're moving from one post to another, you're within the same country, so obviously you have a permanent contract. You can come in and state your case. What is the reason why you are applying? And we look at individual cases, because there are 3 different criteria your child has to meet. And depending on which criteria you come in, it's possible to get an admission. But every case is slightly different, and we have to look at every individual case very carefully.
Yeah, I think that's correct. And there were some more questions asked by Vishal. And I think it's best that he gets in contact with you directly, because as you say, each individual case is differently. And what's the best way he can get in touch with you?
I've already in the chat directly messaged him, and Karthik and a few other people, send them email addresses where they can go for our admissions, and also discussed what's the next step. So in the chat section, I have directly emailed them.
Good, thank you so much. And then the last question that I would like to go into is a question by Ram, who said, and maybe this is a question that Margaret of International Almere can answer. It's about learning Dutch. Is there an online or in-person program or support to learn Dutch? Margaret, what do you know about that?
Honestly, I don't know, but I'm sure we have members who do. So I would suggest post that on our Facebook page. There's 3,000 people there who have been there and had to learn Dutch, and there will be plenty of people who can give good tips and good advice. I'm afraid I'm not one of them, sorry.
No problem. But there are, what you say, lots of people who have done it before you, and there's this Facebook group. And there's just join the Facebook group, put a question out there, and I'm sure there's going to be an answer.
Absolutely, thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Margaret. And I think we will leave it at that. I know it's cutting you a little bit short, but we are already running late. If there's more questions which were not answered directly in the chat, you can go to thisisalmere.com and fill out the contact form. You've seen also this address in the chat, and we'll send it to you afterwards in an email as well. So thank you for joining us on this wonderful sunny day. And even, it was so warm outside, and you took the time to be here with us. And we are very grateful to that. And we hope that we were able to answer a lot of your questions and to give you information about our wonderful city. Thank you so much. And we hope to see you at our next event. Thank you.